See, there were two MPC members who spoke about the neutral rate. Now, just a word to our viewers, the Reserve Bank and all central banks look at the difference between the interest rate, repo rate, minus inflation. That gives the real rate. Now, the real rate at the moment is 200 basis points. If you look at your 1 year ahead inflation forecast, 4.5, we are at 6.5. Now, what is the neutral real rate according to you? We thought we will get it in the bulletin. The NPC members think it should be 100 basis points. What do you think?
You see, with regard to neutral rate, let me use the word neutral because that is much more accurate. The neutral rate, first of all, as you know, RBI a few years ago, our research teams had done a study according to which the neutral rate was about 1.6 to 1.8%. Then immediately in the aftermath of the COVID, somewhere in 2021, our research teams in the Reserve Bank, they came out with a number which was 0.9 to 1%. Let's take it as 0.9 or 1%. Now again, our research teams are working. What is what is possibly a neutral rate? The main issue with neutral rate is that it all depends on which period you are looking at. Now, and neutral rate also is subject to so many structural changes which which happen in the economy. Now, let us say in between we had the COVID pandemic, so that had a structural impact on the economy and had an impact on the neutral rate. So neutral rate came down to 1%. The other uncertainty is that neutral rate also depends on what is the potential growth you are assuming, because that is a very important determinant of the neutral rate. So it is whether your inflation is at target and whether your growth is at potential growth level. That is basically the place where your rates are neutral. Now, so therefore, it is subject to so many uncertainties. It is subject to so many structural changes. We did one analysis immediately after the COVID. Now the next analysis is being done. I think it should be over in the next couple of months or so. Once that is out, once that is completed, we will release the number. Now, coming specifically, if I can, answer your other part of your question. Now, coming to, this monetary policy decision, etc.
They are saying 1%.
Yeah. You see, at the end of the day, neutral rate is subject to so many uncertainties. It is also a theoretical construct.
Yes.
Policy making in the real life, policy making in the real world has to be driven not by a theoretical construct, an abstract theoretical construct, if I can put it that way, but has to be guided by the actual numbers. And what are the actual numbers? The actual numbers here are inflation at 4, whether we are at 4%, and growth where we are. Today, inflation is at 5%. Headline inflation is at 5. We have projected a growth of 7.2. We are still quite a distance away from our target with regard to inflation. Growth is holding, is holding quite well, and growth is 7.2%. So therefore, you have to policy making is being made in the real world, and you have to go by observable numbers, not by a theoretical construct.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in to CNBC TV18. Make sure you follow us and stay updated on all our social media platforms.